Shut up and sit down.
Hello everyone, welcome to HJBC, our coverage tonight of round 6 of season 26 of the Reddit iRacing League, and it's the once per season heats race round tonight. We've got 360 winged sprints at Lanier Raceway dirt configuration, so plenty of racing coming up for us, a couple of heats leading up to some B mains, and then eventually a feature race, 30 laps with no cautions. We're looking forward to that. Now, qualifying just wrapping up. So we'll have a look at the qualifying order there. With the quick time tonight is Andrew Fawcett, and he's just ahead of Alex Coffard. Third fastest time goes to Dylan Blanton, and then fourth there is Justin Lemons. Then Nate Franklin, Jeremy Rogers, Justin Hall, Antonio Alvarez, Brian Molitor, Kyle Smith, Philip Linden, Shane Cameron, Thomas Ellison, Evan Merrill, Christopher Flamion, John Patrick, and Jeff Costello at the bottom there. Grids now set for our first heat, which will have, once my screen updates there and I can see it well, in our first heat is going to be Andrew Fawcett on pole. On the outside then is going to be Dylan Blanton. Then second row will be Nate Franklin and Justin Hall. Behind that, Brian Molitor and Philip Linden. And then Tom Ellison and Christopher Flamion. And Jeff Costello will round up the back of this field. They all form up now behind the iRacing pace truck. So pulling away from the grid now, and the pace truck will lead them for 2 laps before the green flag drops on this 8-lap heat. The top 2 will immediately be locked into the feature race. The rest will have to race their way through the B mains to get a spot in the feature race. I believe with the 18 spots in the feature and 17 cars here tonight, everyone will get into the feature, but this is about where they start on the grid for that 30-lap feature coming up later on. So the pace truck comes in, Andrew Fawcett waits and then slams the power down. He gets a great jump, but I sense there might have been a little bit of contact deeper in the field. So Andrew Fawcett getting a great getaway. Nate Franklin hustling hard around the outside. A little bit more contact there in the 04 car. Brian Molitor gets banging wheels with someone else. Just 8 laps means that this is going to be some very fast-paced action, and of course these winged sprint cars can be very quick through a corner. Nate Franklin into the outside wall, and inside of him I believe Thomas Ellison in the 27, also getting a little bit out of shape. These dirt cars, big tires, big wings, not easy to drive, and Nate Franklin on his side into the wall, somehow lands on his wheels, gets it going again. That drops him a lot of spots. So your top 2 and looking to transfer right now are Dylan Blanton and Andrew Fawcett. They are now 3 seconds clear of a ferocious battle for third place, led by Justin Hall. Tom Ellison losing some spots, Brian Molitor gaining some more. Spots swapping very quickly between 3rd and 6th, and I hope that's the style of racing we're going to see all throughout tonight. Three wide through the middle of the pack there as Nate Franklin and Tom Ellison lose out a little bit more. In the 04, Brian Molitor trying to work the low line, could not get the power down well, and Justin Hall is now more comfortable in third position than he was earlier. Tom Ellison trying to take a low line to take that spot away. There is no way that any of these guys will be able to catch the top two unless Dylan Blanton and Andrew Fawcett get together. This battle for third, very, very entertaining right now. Tom Ellison down low manages to get the traction off better than Justin Hall, who has to correct a lot of oversteer, loses a lot of time out of the throttle. Brian Molitor comes through, and now it's Franklin and Hall side by side. Hall to the inside, Franklin up high. Of course, the dirt moves around on a circuit like this, which is more effective between the high and the low line. Will change, but Heat 1 has been run and done. And your winner was Dylan Blanton. Andrew Fawcett also will transfer directly into the feature race from his second position. But from third on down, that's going to decide some of the starting order for our B main coming up. That's Thomas Ellison grabbed third, Brian Molitor in fourth, Justin Hall had fifth. We now move on towards Heat 2, which will have the cars that we did not see in Heat 1. In 1 second, we'll bring you that starting order from Heat 2. So your grid for Heat 2 is Alex Coffard on pole on the inside. Justin Lamans will start on his outside. Second row is going to be Jeremy Rogers and Antonio Alvarez. Then behind that, Kyle Smith and Shane Cameron on row 3, and row 4, Evan Merrill and John Patrick. Two quick drivers who maybe haven't worked out how to go quick on dirt, maybe didn't get the qualifying lap they were looking for, but the field is moving now. So 8 cars in Heat 2. And at front row, waiting for the pace truck to come in, will be Alex Coffard, who will decide when he opens up the throttle. One more lap, and Heat 2 is underway.
Good evening, David.
And I'm joined by Tom Ellison, who was running in Heat 1. He's now sprinted his way up into the commentary box. Your thoughts on the conditions out there and these 360 winged sprint car?
Well, it was a bit of a sprint to get up here, but the track out there is slick. It's very difficult to run the inside line, and I think we're going to see a lot of issues here. And we're away. Alex Coffard takes the lead.
Yep, so the pace truck pulls in, and Alex Coffard gets a great jump from the lead, and second place is still that car that started there, but goes down the inside in the Lightning McQueen livery and snatches the lead. So Fawcett goes back into second, and the lead changes hands. Someone riding the wall around the outside. Not enough of a cushion built up for these sprint cars to be able to ride that yet, I think, Tom.
Alex Coffard tagging the wall there with the outside line. Doesn't seem to have done too much damage to the suspension. He's running that very high line out wide. It seems to be working for him for now. He's in the tight line with Kyle Smith here.
Lamans and Merrill battling for the lead of the race, and I think Evan Merrill may have just lost out there. I'll have to have a quick look. So Lamans on the high side, Merrill down low, and they are side by side. Merrill in the red car, I think. Have I got that the wrong way around? Merrill is in the black car, Lamans in the red car. So Lamans leading right now, and Merrill is unfortunately, he's grabbed that lead and then lost out once again. But we've seen very inconsistent lap times. Huge gaps can close and open very quickly.
We're seeing Lamans here running a low line, not up against the cushion, rather than using the dirt on the inside of the racetrack. And it seems to be giving him an advantage. Maybe he has a setup that works just particularly for that. But continuing pulling away here, and we have Alex Coffard in the wall. He is trapped in the wall.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be going anywhere particularly fast at the moment. That's a shame for our pole sitter. But he's around again, waiting for the... Oh,
indeed. So Justin Lamans, our leader, sees the white flag, and Evan Merrill still holding on to second place, a second clear of Jeremy Rogers, and I believe our top two are instantly locked into the feature. So that's tough for Alex Coffard, who's going to have to fight his way back.
Yeah, last chance qualifier for him, but I think good result there for Lamans and Merrill coming right from the back of the grid there, 7th place to 2nd. Good drive from him.
So the finishing order was Justin Lamans, Evan Merrill, Jeremy Rogers got 3rd, Kyle Smith in 4th, Antonio Alvarez in 5th. And then I think Shane Cameron gets 6th, John Patrick 7th, and your pole sitter Alex Coffard finishes last after a little incident for him that saw him turned around and potentially, losing a lot of spots there. He'll have a lot of work to do starting from right up the back in the last chance qualifier to see where he can then start on the grid in the feature race.
Seeing here, David, I'm in the session at the moment, and it appears that the C main and B main have been skipped as sessions because there is a limit of 17 drivers in the feature race itself. So it looks like we're just going to go straight into the feature race here in a second.
Yeah, so the feature was scheduled to have 18 cars, and with only 17 cars showing up tonight, we've skipped some of that, it does seem, because everyone gets into the feature, so that's nice for them.
Well, I'd better run down and take my place on the grid then, David. Thank you for having me in the booth for this heat.
Thanks for coming up, Tom. Really appreciate it. So a little bit of a warm-up right now for the drivers to get adjusted to the track conditions once again, because the drivers who ran in Heat 1, the conditions will have changed since when they exited the track to what the start of the feature race is going to be. It just gives everyone a bit of time to work out how they're going to drive this. So I think we'll take a minute now on board, and I'll let our director pick which car we might just follow along with. So 90 seconds remaining of the warm-up before we head towards our feature race. And obviously what we've seen from some of the warm-up and from the 2 heats that we've had run is that it's not at all easy to drive these dirt winged sprint cars around a short little oval like this. The throttle control, the steering angle, all very, very sensitive. And I think for our 30-lap feature coming up, the word may be survival. Cautions are off, so if you go for a spin, that's time lost that it will be very, very hard to gain back. Qualifying, somewhat important. The starting grid will matter somewhat, but we saw in Heat 2, Evan Merrill came from the back of the grid there in just 8 laps to grab himself a good finishing position. So I think over 30 laps, anyone who can keep their nose and or wings clean will definitely be in for a good result. Not sure if we're able to display it up on screen yet, but our qualifying order is set for the feature, and based upon the finishing results of the heats, the winner of Heat 1 starting on pole, the winner of Heat 2 starting on the outside, and then so on and so forth. from the Snake. So our pole sitter for the feature race is going to be Dylan Blanton, and alongside him is going to be Justin Lamans. The second row will be Andrew Fawcett and Evan Merrill. His strong showing in Heat 2 means he gets a good grid position for the feature. The third row is Thomas Ellison, who was kind enough to come up and have a word with us earlier, and he's going to be on the inside of Jeremy Rogers. Behind that, Brian Molitor and Kyle Smith. Next row will be Justin Hall and Antonio Alvarez, and then behind that is Nate Franklin and Shane Cameron. We've got Philip Linden and John Patrick. Then Jeff Costello, Alex Coffard, and Christopher Flamian start at the back of our 17-car field. They all take their position on circuit right now behind the pace truck, which will shortly pull away for 2 laps before the green flag waves and our 30-lap race gets underway. Certainly some of the favourites for this race would have to be our top 2 on the grid, Lamans and Blanton, but then the likes of Evan Merrill have shown that they can work their way through the field. So maybe from the outside of the second row, that black and white HJ car will be one to watch. A little bit of a checkup as the cars get rolling, and it's a good thing they make these things tough, because a little bit of body panel rubbing there, but everyone now getting ready and eagerly anticipating the start of this race. So up front in his green car, Dylan Blanton waits for the truck to pull in. It does, and the green flag comes out very early. It is a good jump for Blanton. Evan Merrill, though, 3 wide in the middle. So he has to fight off to try and hold his 4th position. Andrew Fawcett taking a very low line, trying to get down the inside of Dylan Blanton, who makes the outside line work, at least for the moment. Evan Merrill, one of the other drivers, also trying to make the low line work. Andrew Fawcett nearly gets tagged on the inside as they are 3 wide for the lead of the race. Blanton, once again, from the high line, getting the better traction off the corner, but it is the long way around. He loses time through the corners and he manages to hold it down the straight. Thomas Ellison hugging that low line like it's his favorite grandmother, as Martin Grundle likes to say. And that is going to get his nose into the lead of the race, at least for the moment. A little bit of traffic will block Dylan Blanton on the high line, and he does the old push to pass to get through and hold on to 3rd position. But Evan Merrill now running in 2nd. Tom Ellison, maybe wear good luck up here in the commentary box, because he now grabs the lead of the race. The field spreads out quite a little bit. Blanton still holds 3rd. Molitor has jumped up 3 spots to grab 4th place. Justin Lane is now running in 5th, and then a little bit of a separation between our top 5. We get to the likes of Andrew Fawcett, Jeremy Rogers, and others there. Absolutely on for the lead of the race, though, as Evan Merrill gives Tom Ellison a little bit of a bump, and through all of that, Dylan Blanton closes in a little bit. Traffic on the high side means that our top 3 have to come through on the low line, which Tom Ellison and Evan Merrill have favoured. Dylan Blanton ran well early up high, but he's now forced to change up his lines. He has to run low to try and compete with Ellison and Merrill. On board right now with Dylan Blanton as he gives Evan Merrill a little bit of a bump, and Blanton comes through into 2nd place on these dirt short courses. Bit of rubbing is racing. Justin Lamans in 4th place is watching eagerly, though. He closes in with a big slide to make contact with Evan Merrill, and then in the end it's Justin Lamans that loses out there. Merrill shrugs it off, but Lamans loses a whole heap of time going around. Bit more traffic for them to work through. Blanton now finding his groove once again and hunting down Tom Ellison. Merrill has to go around the high side on a bit of traffic. That costs him some time, but he can still see the top 2. And Lamans, for his little mistake earlier, is back in the groove once again for the lead. Ellison and Blanton. And Blanton got very close to trying to take that lead away in his green car from the DuPont Rainbow of Ellison. Ellison working through the traffic well, just not deviating from his preferred low line. It's making him difficult to pass. It's making him a little more consistent than some taking the higher line. We'll see, to getting closer to the halfway point of the race, if maybe a higher line will become more favorable later on. But right now, that low line has worked from the start for Tom Ellison to gain some positions. He still leads the race. Traffic becoming much more thick though for the leaders as he's nearly 3 wide with some traffic. Dylan Blanton is probably watching how Tom Ellison is coming through the traffic and using that to his advantage to see how he can also cut through. So Ellison leads from Blanton, from Merrill, from Lamans, and then quite a gap to, Alex Coffard, Jeremy Rogers, Andrew Fawcett, and Philip Linden. Justin Lehman's troubles for him. He's on pit road right now. So maybe a little bit of damage. Maybe he didn't think that the car was in quite the shape he wanted, but Blanton's going to try and go around the outside of Thomas Ellison. 2 wide for the lead of the race. Ellison can't get the power down quite so well on the inside. Blanton gets his nose in front, but then has to check up out of the throttle for a lapped car that was sideways on the course. Puts Ellison back into the lead, and through no fault of Dylan Blanton, just trying to work through the traffic. And of course, on an oval this short, with 17 cars in the feature, it was only a number of laps before traffic was key. Ellison back into the lead. Blanton trying to work his way around once again across the start-finish line. It's 10 laps to go very, very shortly. Blanton prefers the higher line. He gets a better run sometimes off the high line, but Ellison just more consistent down low. And Evan Merrill is trying to join the fight once again. Blanton up high, killer run off turns 1 and 2. Not enough. It's hundreds of feet further distance taking that higher line, and he needs to be able to carry the speed up there. Hasn't quite been able to do so compared to Tom Ellison. Fantastic fight between these two for the lead of the race. The fastest lap of the race has just been set by Jeremy Rogers has just set his fastest lap of the race. Evan Merrill has the outright fastest lap. It's the consistency of the top 2 that have let them run up the front of this race. Ellison, Blanton, 1 car length in it with 6 laps to go through turns 1 and 2. Ellison still keeping that car to the inside wall. Blanton with a big run up high, has to check up out of the throttle, so the car slides just a little bit too much on him. Merrill within 1 second of the lead. Merrill looks forward at this leading battle and hopes desperately to join them, and maybe hopes for the two to battle each other a bit too hard. Maybe if they tangle, the lead is definitely within his vision. Ellison down low again. Blanton gets very close, but has to check up a tiny bit as the car slides on the exit of the corner. He's getting in with a lot of speed, but not getting out with as much speed as he would prefer. He had a little bit of contact with the wall, and that means he's now battling Evan Merrill. Merrill couldn't capitalize, so it's 1, 2, 3. Ellison, Blanton, Merrill with 3 laps to go, and they get into a bit more of that traffic once again. It presents Blanton an opportunity. Ellison almost chops down on him. Blanton has to get out of the throttle. 1 car length between first and second. 2 laps to go. They've just crossed the start-finish line now. Troubles for Evan Merrill as he fought so hard to try and mix it up into the lead of the race. He's now dropping down the order, but it's side by side for the lead of the race. Blanton gets his nose in front with the white flag. Can he maintain the momentum around the outside? Yes, he can. So Ellison back into second as Blanton makes the higher line work. It's do or die right now for Tom Ellison, but he can't do it. The checkered flag waves this time. Blanton steals the win. Thomas Ellison gets second. Alex Coffard will finish third, 5 seconds back. It's Justin Lehman's, Jeremy Rogers, Andrew Fawcett, Antonio Alvarez, Philip Linden, Kyle Smith, John Patrick, Brian Molitor. Evan Merrill, unfortunately for him, trying everything, and it just came unstuck. Shane Cameron, Nate Franklin, Jeff Costello, Christopher Flamian, and Justin Hall, some other retirements and cars some laps down. Well, he came up into the commentary box earlier. We'll see who we can get a word from if we can't grab Tom Ellison, because that was some very exciting 30 laps and with a change for the lead in the last mile of racing. So we do have our race winner, Dylan Blanton, and wow, what a way to win that feature race, grabbing the lead within the last 2 laps. Did you think you would be able to get back into the lead? Did you think you were going to be able to hold on to it?
I was mainly just looking for Tom to make a mistake. I knew I was a little bit better than him on the bottom once I got down there and committed to it, but I had to just move up like a half lane more than him, and I was able to make it work in the last 2 laps. I really didn't think I was going to get him, but it just made it work those last 2 laps, thankfully.
Tom got to the lead early running the low side, and you seemed for the first 5 or so laps pretty committed to trying to run up high against the cushion. When did you realize that wasn't necessarily going to work, and how adaptable do you have to be?
I mean, you have to be really adaptable on dirt. It's just the way it is. I wanted to run the cushion at the start because I felt it was a little bit safer. I wanted the field to string out a little bit. I didn't think it would be so single groove on the bottom once it got that way, so it was really hard to make progress once it did fully go to the bottom, but I made it work, thankfully.
Well, a win in Reddit iRacing League, no matter the surface, no matter the track, means a handful of points for you, and we're getting towards a critical stage of the championship. How does this help you out?
I mean, I think I'm really in a good position. I guess I kind of already have 2 drop weeks, one race I didn't do and one race I crashed out of, and I think all of my other results at this point are literally top 4s, so 4 or 5, so I'm doing pretty good points wise. I'm just looking for a top 5 hopefully in the season standings by the end of the.
Well, congratulations on the big W, and anyone you'd like to thank, any shout outs you'd like to give, any parting comment?
I guess I gotta thank everybody that puts on this league. I do enjoy running it every Sunday, so thanks to all the mods and the broadcast crew. Y'all do a great job.
Well, there we go, your Reddit iRacing League winner for tonight, Dylan Blanton. And he spoke with us earlier, but let's bring Tom Ellison back. You led plenty of laps there and raced your way to the front early. What was it that meant you just couldn't hold on to it?
Dylan's a better driver than me, I think, is the ultimate issue with that. I got a decent start. Luckily, it was fairly far up the grid for the main, and realized very quickly that actually there was a bit of grip on the bottom if you were just very careful with the throttle. So stuck to the inside, tried to keep as smooth and as tidy as possible and avoid all the traffic mayhem that was going on around me. But Dylan kept right with me and was able to put a great pass around the outside for the win.
It's true that in the last half of the race there was plenty of traffic, and of course there will be on a short oval like this. What was your strategy with managing that? Because a lot of the traffic looked quite unpredictable.
Yes, it was. I mean, I'm racing on a single monitor. I can't really see out the sides, especially when going sideways around the corners. So I was just hoping and praying that the other drivers in the league would be respectful, keep their foot on the brake when they did spin, and try and at least put their car on a predictable trajectory that would enable us to try and race everyone. And I think for the most part people did that. I was able to lift out and make some passes when I could find them, and didn't have any major issues. I don't think the traffic cost me the win or anything like that.
Well, that was a pretty good showing, and you really did impress, driving your way to the front early and giving us a great battle for the lead, Tom. Anyone you'd like to thank?
Thank you, as always, to all the members who come out and race with us every week. Your participation is greatly appreciated by us in the mod booth. And thank you to you guys, to Michael Derby and David Haynes for putting on the show tonight. Broadcasts are always a great feature of this league, and we're really grateful to have you putting your efforts towards them.
Thanks for jumping up and helping us out earlier as well.
Thanks, guys.
Now on to our 3rd place finisher, Alex Coffard, and unfortunately the battle up the lead was too good. We didn't see a whole lot of your race. In the end, was it a matter of just survival that got you on the podium tonight?
Kind of. Let's see. I think I qualified P2, and I totally screwed up the heat race, and so wrecked in the heat race. So I had to start in back of the pack. I was last car on grid, I believe, and yeah. So I don't know. I worked my way through the field. I finished 5 seconds behind, so maybe pissed away an opportunity to win. But survival was definitely key. I saw a lot of people. Loop it. A lot of people try to dodge a wreck and wreck themselves, and just some contact between cars that is to be expected on a track like this.
You, in the end, grabbed the fastest lap of the race, though. So a little bit of a what could have been there.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to commit to too much of the season, so I'm not really worried about the championship so much. But it's always good to try to win. So a little bit of woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it's dirt racing, so I'm not too torn up.
Well, anyone you'd like to thank or any last comments you'd like to give on the broadcast?
Yeah, thanks to everyone at HJ. We just had an amazing event in Champ Car at VIR, and it was, as always, amazing to hang out with everyone, meet a bunch of new people from different places, and work on the car and watch it do good. So thanks to everyone in HJ that put all their time and effort into it and made a super amazing weekend.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much. And third place for Alex Coffard. That just about wraps up everything that we have about tonight's Reddit iRacing League race. Of course, we'll be back here on HJBC with some more Reddit iRacing League action later in the season, so do check us out for that. And plenty of other things coming up for HJBC as well, including some remaining rounds of the Champ Car Sim Series, and also a special HJ event coming up soon, hopefully. Keep your eyes out for that one. Our producer tonight, Michael Derby, always does a fantastic job. I'm David Haynes. Joining me earlier was Tom Ellison, and from all of us, thank you and good night.